Can't dim my light, can't take my life. My path is chosen. I sacrificed, I paid the price. I won't be broken. I am royalty. It's my destiny. You know my time is now. They can't take my crown.
Direct intel, ancestral symbology spread across the diaspora is coded in my honesty. Intuitive connection, strengthen tribes' camaraderie. Parallel universe, that's another side of me. Guided by dreams and wisdom, build my economy. In silent meditation, that's how spirit respond to me. Play a part that plays in your natal chart. Not trusting your blueprint is where betrayal start. Ignoring warnings, pivotal insight. How you a descendant of Moabites, Hittites. Nothing rhetorical. I'm tapped in, my sister's an oracle. Future seen through the orbital. Through lessons informing you, honor my blood and features. Akashic reveal my deepest secrets. Creative crown lobes from the ethers. In real time I'm living it. Being tree on the mounds of Mount Gilead. Team spirit, magical affiliates.
The lost scriptures from the Hudson River. Stories of 40s, blunts and liquor. Written by shorties, bloods and killers. Hands to bars, identify mugs from mirrors. He's from Flatbush, cuz is fearless. He in the black book, drugs and realness. But in they cell block by themself on the cot. They time held by the clock, water pail in the mop. On sorted mail for the stock, in jail till they rot. Most of their elders was Griselda. Cocaine kingpins, gold chains gleaming, dope bringer, demons. Now we upload Kentucky gold, we need answers. We transfer crown loads, major priest to ground patrol. NASA case of BlacX face around poles. Lead by example, priest is the ample, no priest is the handle. As I write, light each of the candles, I feel brand new.
My life can't take my life, my path is chosen. I sacrificed, I paid the price, I won't be broken. I am royalty, it's my destiny. You know my time is now. They can't take my crown.
Music chairs, Game of Thrones, shooting airs with angel bones. Have you connected to the source and made your brain a phone? Climb till I reach the highest plane and I made it home. Connect the whole universe to one jet, remain alone. Got my angels and my ancestors on a conference call. Shooting Aztecs to the gods that said I dropped the ball. My first step, flagging the earth while I still watch them crawl. Immortalized the human anatomy at the Taj Mahal. I struck lightning when it hit me, I ain't shot the Lord. You're knocking out your fluid, it's impossible, I knew it. We all AI, I guess Allah prompted me to do it. Who made mythic creatures into continents and drew the map? My Venus spoke to Gemini. Before it was a Google app, the mic levitates when I talk without holding it. By accident, I'm still on point without knowing it. And I ain't right to think of this verse, I ground loaded it.
We crown holders and ground soldiers, the finest diamonds. They doing manifestation, we do divine alignment. This ain't no occupation, it's a higher soul assignment. Sacred, irreplaceable information, rewind it. I don't relate to these fraud dudes and clown hoes. 520 hertz is the frequency that my sound holds. Every written down flow, feeling like I found gold. Channeling profound codes, turn them into crown loads. They try silencing the chosen ones, it never works. Lessons heavy like collections at the mega church. We manifest a heaven just to build a better earth. And when you hear that word crown loads, you know who said it first. Lyrically mystical, healing you medicinal. And on this mic, these rappers saying nothing you should listen to. Life is cyclical, like the spin on an elliptical. This priest mixes fire, but run back the original.
Can't take my life, can't take my life, my path is chosen. I sacrificed, I paid the price, I won't be broken. I am royalty, it's my destiny. You know my time is now. They can't take my crown.
All right. Greetings, and welcome back, family. Thank you for tuning in to a special edition of New Day Resurrection. We are having our fifth class of Black Poli Sci 101, and we have, of course, with us our special guest and presenter this evening. The MC for this evening is going to be our brother Baba Jalil Muntaqim. All right. I'm your brother Mumba Cage. I'll be your co-host and moderator for this evening. I have, of course, with me the host with the most, Sister Empress Chi.
I'm good.
I got Sister Empress Chi, aka Dr. Fallacious Nation.
All right. Greetings, family. Hey, Brother Lumumba, that was another powerful clip. A powerful intro. Wow. That's what I'm talking about. You can't take my crown. Woo! What a way to start things off. Yes, indeed. All right, family. So listen, we're here to do the work that is now mandated in this day and age in a certain kind of manner. We strongly believe that our ancestors, our freedom fighting ancestors, that is guiding us, is giving us not only permission, but is giving us the capability, the power, the strength, the insight to do what needs to be done in this day and age. And so we do so with this cosmic thing that's going on now as well, bringing forward again the kind of synergy, frequencies, and so forth that is necessary, and with that, now reach the kind of victories that are going to be not only necessary but sustainable. With that said, tonight, as Brother Lumumba mentioned, we're going to talk with one of our brothers, one of our elders, one of our freedom fighters, because this is what we need to do, and do it in such a way that it's not just at a conference, it's not just at a social gathering, but to get back more into a study mindset as well. So while tonight's session and the second part 2 that'll be on August the 10th, although these sessions are, they're informal, they're here to give you information, what we call edification, not just education, but edification. That's on a higher level of comprehension and internalization. And so even though that's all going to be there, we're encouraging folk to listen, but also to be prepared to do some next step type of research, study, and with that, activation. So without further ado, we're going to get ready to turn the mic over to Baba Jalil. We're going to talk about several topics tonight, as well as part 2. And some of those sessions, or rather some of those topics include, of course, COINTELPRO, then and now, because this is Black August. And so we want to make sure that we're focusing on the prison situation, of course, political prisoners, with this being Black August, but also to look at it from a context of past as well as present, and what we see or think is getting ready to go down for the future, so that we are a bit more prepared to be able to respond a bit more effectively and adequately. So that's one of the topics. Of course, we're going to also talk about Black liberation, particularly from a more self-determination orientation. Because there seems to be a lot of ambiguity today, meaning, some people think certain things are this or that. And of course, there's no definite or no, one for all, or all, one definition fits all, but there's certainly some things that ain't. Okay. And so we want to begin to bring about some of that clarity from a Black perspective. We do not mix stuff up here. So if you're interested in some other theology or methodology or philosophy, this probably is not the platform for you. Ours is primarily exclusively, specifically from a Black/African perspective with a holistic twist. So, with that said, let's get ready to open this thing up and get down with the nitty gritty. It's a pleasure and an honor, yes, to again have Baba Jalil Muntaqim with us, and again to give us insight and clarity. There may be some things that people are not clear about. Well, we're here tonight to try to bring as much clarity and insight as possible. So let's go to Baba. Baba, how are you this evening?
Assalamu alaikum, peace, boss, Begani, Jumbo, Hotep, Irene, Hafa Adea, Salome, Guten Tag, Habib, Hawaii, with every native language, I wish you peace and solidarity. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. You know, I'm in the middle of the madness. So
to the level of reality. And so, this is what, again, family, we're bringing to you, because you have to see and know these examples, because apparently some stuff is MIA, missing in action. And so we want to fill in some of those gaps and get this thing moving the way our ancestors and we and our children, expect us. So with that said, Baba, I'm gonna really kind of leave it up to you as to where we want to start or begin. But I do want folks to kind of at least get a little more acquainted with you. Of course, you've been on New Day, and you did give some insight into some history in regards to yourself. But again, I think it's very important, because we have different platforms and different listeners. I think it's very important that folks know that you started at a very early age, because I'm encouraging our sisters to do some things with our youth to a greater extent. So if you would be so kind to just share with us, a little bit of the beginnings.
Okay. All right, you asked for it.
Yes, come on with it.
All right, let me begin with this. I'm Jalil Muntaqim. I'm a veteran member of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. I enrolled in the Black Panther Party at the age of 16. I was raised in a household where Black consciousness was a way of life. My mom was a student of African history, African dance, and she used to teach African dance to my sister and I as a young child. And her instructor told her she's African, and she instructed us, her children, we're Africans. We're not Negroes, we're not African Americans, we're not coons, we're not N-words, we're not colored people, we're Africans. And so that's been my POV, my point of view in terms of my life experiences and how I view the world as a result of how I've been raised at the feet of my mom. At the age of 16, I joined the Black Panther Party and became one of those guys out there selling the papers, helping feed the children, and assisted also in the health clinics in the San Francisco chapter of the Black Panther Party. I was one of the persons who was doing peripheral security when the Black Panther Party brought Betty Shabazz to the Bay Area at that time, at a young age, doing that kind of security. Now I want to preface this with what's going on in terms of Black August. All right, I'll return to it. Let me say, on August 27th, 1971, I was captured and put into prison for the work I was doing for the Black Panther Party, BLA. And I was at the age of 19 when I put into prison. As a result of being in prison, I understood that although I was in prison, the fight continues. Right? It changed the environment, but the fight continued. So while in prison, I started the first national newspaper, a prisoners newspaper called Army Spirit, while in San Quentin prison. I also established the first national publication, national petition to the United Nations in support of political prisoners and the conditions of prisons. That was actually recorded by the United Nations. I started the first national organization in support of political prisoners called the National Journal Code Movement. Myself, Barbara Herbert Ferguson, and also my dear beloved sister, Sophia Asi Bukhari. In 2018, I called for the international jurors to be brought back to the United States. I was locked in Southport Correctional Facility locked down in Southport in New York. I had got parole from California, was sent to New York to continue my prison sentence for the issues for those convictions. So in Southport, I called for the return of international jurors. We had brought the international jurors during the UN campaign back in the 70s, back in the late 70s. And so I said it was time to bring them back. I contacted my dear beloved comrade Jihad Abdul Mumit. He contacted our beloved comrade Sekou Adinga, and they contacted a brother by the name of Matt Myers, and the three of them, along with others, established the International Tribunal. The International Tribunal was held at the Audubon, what is known, had been known as the Audubon, is now Malcolm X. Betty Shabazz Education Center, where Malcolm had been murdered when he was assassinated. We held the tribunal there in October 25th, 2021. An esteemed body international jurors found the United States guilty of the charge of genocide. Let me say that again. Esteemed body international jurors found the United States guilty of the charge of genocide against Black, Brown, and Indigenous people on the 5 charges that we brought before them. 5 charges of mass incarceration. We know they mass incarcerated us. State-sanctioned violence. You know that they kill us. State police killing us. Environmental racism. We know that many of our communities are put in conditions that are environmentally unsafe, unhealthy, health connected. White people live longer than Black people in this country. Why is that? Right? And these just as the political prisoners. The international jurors reviewed over 30. They listened to 30 witnesses and boxes of documents, and they concluded on the 25th of October 2021 that cumulatively, right, these charges, where they've been found guilty of, are tantamount to genocide against Black, Brown, Indigenous people. And as a result of that decision, we have organized a national conversion. It was on July 4th. Was a national mobilization against genocides. As they was celebrating their 250 years of genocides, we were celebrating our 250 years of resistance to genocides. And it was held in Atlanta, Georgia on July 4th. And I was pleased for people to know that Sister Empress Chi was also one of the persons who came and spoke at that particular event. And since then, we've been organizing what we call the People's Senate, creating alternative systems of governing. So we understand this system of governing is not working for us, has not worked for us, and will not work for us. And so therefore, we need to develop new means of creating national networks between progressives across the country and build a foundation for our survival, right? Our survival against a system that is bent on our elimination, right? If not elimination, enslavement. It's also important to note that we live in a slave nation. This is a slave nation. This country has never not been a slave nation. Okay, make that point explicitly clear, right? On December 1865, when they promulgated the 13th Amendment, ending chattel slavery, the same ink on the same paper at the same time and the same date by the same colonialist white men, transitioned chattel slavery of African people to penal slavery. Right, straight line, right? Same paper, same time. Listen, so when was slavery abolished? Never was. The transition from chattel to penal. We live in a slave nation. Let's understand that. And our relationship to this government has always been that, right? As being the less than, like being the other, being the unwanted, being the informal enslaved, people who were formerly enslaved. Now, let's go back to Black August. So in that understanding of our relationship to this country, right, we also know that there is a prison movement, right, particularly in California. And in California, we had a group of prisoners, or I like to call incarcerated workers. I like to change the language. We're dealing with our people on the inside. Incarcerated workers who are being murdered by the Aryan Brotherhood, right, a prison gang, right, and being murdered by Nazi prison guards. And so these incarcerated workers, Black incarcerated workers, decided they need to organize themselves to defend themselves. And they established an organization called what? The Black Guerrilla Family. Okay. Black Guerrilla Family was in defense of Black people inside the prison system in California who were being murdered. Okay. And so, okay. and they got charged. He, Philo Drumgo, and John Cluchette was charged with that, and it started a case called the Soledad Brothers. All right, they were being supported by a sister by the name of Angela Davis, right, to win that case. And on August 7th, the man child Jonathan Jackson went into Marin County Courthouse, and in Marin County Courthouse, he sought to free William McLean and James Christmas. William McLean and James Christmas. No, William Christmas and James McLean, excuse me. All right, and tried to free them. Okay, and someone else was in that courtroom at that time, and it was a brother by the name of Rochelle McGee. He was there fighting his own case, fighting his own petition to be released from prison. So when he saw Jonathan come in there, Jonathan looked at him and said, "Listen, what you want to do? You want to go with us, or you going to stay here?" He decided he's going to go with them. And as he went out of the Marin County Courthouse in California, went out to the Marin County Courthouse, he got into a white van, and the CDC, the Department of Correctional Service, California Department of Corrections, and a Marin County police officer shot up the van, killed everybody in the van, including the judge, including the DA, including the clerk, everybody in the van, and the only surviving member of that group was Rochelle McGee. Rochelle McGee stayed alive. He spent 70 years in prison before he was released. Right. The following year, August 21st, 1971, Comrade George Jackson was assassinated in San Quentin Prison. Right. That was August 21st, 1971. On August 27th, 1971, I was captured. Right. As a result of attempting to retaliate against the assassination of Comrade George Jackson, who was the field marshal of the Black Panther Party while inside prison. Unfortunately, we had a technical problem. My machine gun jammed, right? It resulted in a shootout, a car chase, and my capture. And it resulted in me being in prison for 49 years. I already told you what I achieved while I was in prison, 49. I also wrote 2 books while I was inside prison. We Are All Liberators and Escaping the Prison, Fade to Black. 2 books that I wrote while I was inside prison. Fast forward 1978, right? After Comrade George was murdered, a brother by the name of Jeffrey Golden, Qatari Golden, became the leader of PGF. And they was in the San Quentin prison yard, in the Adjustment Center prison yard, and they was, throwing a football back and forth to each other. And he tripped and fell, hit his head on the ground, busted open his head. They let him bleed out. Right, and in the yard of San Quentin. Okay, and at that point in time, the brothers of BGF across the state decided they needed something to commemorate their loss, to commemorate these brothers who was engaged in our struggle and lost their life. Jonathan, George, and Qatari, right? And so they began what they call Black August. All right, then we looked at this thing out of Black August. They said, well, let's look and see what else is going on in Black August. And they found out that Marcus Garvey was born in August. They found out that Harriet Tubman was engaged in August. They found out that John Brown was engaged, I believe, was in August. Or Nat Turner was also engaged on. So there's a history of events that occurred in August that we need to remember, that we need to commemorate, right? And as a result of that, they began what they call Black August. Now, Black August is a month from which you have study, fasting, exercise, and prepare for war, struggle. Okay, and so that is the foundational the foundation of the existence of Black August, right? And now it has become an international month of recognition of resistance. Okay. So that's a capsule overview of what Black August is and how it came into existence. The brothers many of the comrades who put that together, some of them are still fighting today. All right, many of them are now elders, like Setiwa and others who are now released from Pelican Bay. They had a hunger strike in Pelican Bay for several years because the prison system began to quantify or tell these individuals, these brothers, that they're a gang. right, rather than revolutionaries, right? So treating them as if they were gangs, okay. And as a result of that, many was put into a special housing unit or high security, right, isolation. And for years, it was in this situation, and they decided to do they did two things. Now it was important. One was a statewide hunger strike, okay, that captured statewide attention, right? Then they also established a basis to end the violence inside the prison system between the various groups, the Aryan Brotherhood, the MAs, BGF, and the other organizations there, to end the hostilities. So they found that many of those leaders of those other organizations, most of them reactionary, gangs and so forth, was also in these isolation, solitary areas, all right, and being held captive there. And so they decided that we need to end the hostilities inside prisons, and they were very successful in doing so. To the angst of the prison administrators, who always want the penal slave system administrators, the plantation owners, who always want to have divisions within that population. Okay, so that gives you again a capsule overview of Black August and why it's important. It's not just for the issues of what happened in California, but it's for the entire history of resistance, and particularly commemorating those who were engaged in the month of August, born in the month of August. And you can go and you look at it, materials up, and I'm certain that you will become very informed and you'll be educated, as to our capacity to engage the struggle and to commemorate our brothers and sisters who were involved in our struggle, particularly in the month of August.
Ashe. Thank you, Baba. Before we go any further, I want to make sure that our family that's tuning in and listening, there's a couple of names, and I know we're not going to go in depth tonight, but I'm asking folks to please take notes if you would, if not mentally, of course, with actual writing. There's a couple of names, and I would just like for you to just give just a little sidebar about three people. One was Baba Herman Ferguson. The other was Sister Sophia Bakari. And the last one was Baba Sekou Odinga. Can you just briefly just give a little sidebar as to who they are?
Absolutely. Let me begin with Baba Herman Ferguson. Baba Herman Ferguson was my elder, okay? And he was a staunch revolutionary, right? He was a founding member of I believe it was the Republican, not the Republic of Africa, Revolutionary Action Movement, RAM. All right, and at one point in time, he was also a school teacher, right? It's in New York, right? He was a school teacher in New York, and he was the organizers in New York. He also became the first secretary of El Haj Malik Shabazz Malcolm X Organization of African American Unity, right, OAAU, that El Haj Malik Shabazz had put together. He was the secretary for that organization for El Haj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X. He became a target of COINTELPRO. They alleged that he was plotting to assassinate Roy Wilkins and not Andrew Young. Young, can't remember his first name, who was head of CORE and head of NAACP. That they charged that the FBI said that he was planning to assassinate them, these quote unquote Uncle Toms, like these turn face Negroes, and he learned about that, and he escaped and went to Guyana. He went to Guyana and stayed in Guyana and became a colonel in the Guyana Army. He and his wife. He returned back to the United States. And so they convicted him for absconding from the case. The case ultimately was dropped, but they found him guilty of absconding. He did 5 years in prison. He came out of prison and got right back into the struggle, right? And that's when I was able to meet him while I was inside prison after he got out of prison, Baba Herman Ferguson. Sophia Bukhari. Sophia Bukhari was also a student, a young student at a young age. And one time, as she's coming back from, I think, from school, and she saw some police beating up a Black Panther who was selling papers on the corner. And she didn't understand why, and she wanted to find out why. So she went to the Black Panther Party office. What did she do that for? She went in there and never came out. She went in there and found out what this brothers and sisters was doing. She joined the party. All right, joined the Black Panther Party. And as a result of her work in the Black Panther Party, when the Black Panther Party came under scrutiny from the COINTELPRO, the Panther 21 case, and when all the leaders of the Harlem and Queens branch of New York Black Panther officers was removed, she took over the leadership at that particular time. She also was supporting us on the inside, those political prisoners on the inside, and fighting for us. At some point in time, she and some other comrades, I won't mention at this point in time, although they are well known for what they did, made efforts to support the release of some of us inside prison, right? Particularly New York 3, New York 5, myself and my comrade, try to help us escape. Yes, well, I had 5 escape attempts while I was inside, so to make that point explicitly clear, right? That those who've been enslaved have every right to escape enslavement. Okay, so and as a result of that, she became under scrutiny, under target, right, and had to go underground. And as a result of she going underground, eventually she got caught into a situation. I believe it was in North Carolina. One of her comrades was murdered. Other 2 were captured. Then she did time. She did time in became a member of the Black Liberation Army when she went underground, Black Liberation Army, and did time in Alderson, Virginia prison. She escaped Alderson prison, right, and was recaptured. She escaped a second time from Alderson prison. And this time when she escaped, she wanted to escape and got some medical treatment that the prison system was not giving her, right? She got captured again. They sent her back to Alderson prison, and she fought her own case and won. She defended herself and won. Eventually, she was released from prison, came back to the streets, and that's when she and I and was still there, and we decided to put together the Jericho movement, the National Jericho movement. She continued to work in behalf of political prisoners until the day that she passed, transitioned. Some say that she worked herself to death. She was a staunch organizer, a staunch revolutionary, a sister that won. If you don't know, listen. If anyone have opportunity, get her book, The War Before, by Safia Asya Bukhari. Right, it's an excellent book to study. Right, and you should study during Black August, if nothing more. Right, when she transitioned, Sekou Odinga. Sekou Odinga was the general. He was also a member of the Black Panther Party. He helped establish the Black Panther Party in New York, and was a target of COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program. At the time of they were arresting, doing a sweep and arresting Black Panther Party members for the Panther 21 case. When they came to his house, to his place where we staying at, he had boarded the door, went out the back window, climbed down a water pipe, two stories down a water pipe, right, and got away from the SWAT team. The next thing they heard of Sekou Odinga, he was on a plane to Cuba. When I say on the plane, I say took a plane, he took a plane. He took the plane to Cuba. He hijacked the plane and went to Cuba and established himself in Cuba. And then from there, he went to Algiers. And in Algiers, he helped establish the international chapter of the Black Panther Party in Algiers. He trained with the PLO. I have pictures of him, Don Cox, and Eldridge Cleaver with Yasser Arafat holding hands and raising the fist. Okay. He trained with the PLO. He came back to the United States. Right. He found his way back into the United States, back into the underground, back into the Black Liberation Army, right, and assisted and organized the escape of Assata Shakur, right, the principal organizer who conducted the escape of Assata Shakur. Okay. He did time, 33 years in prison. Eventually captured, did 33 years in prison, came back out, I got right back into the movement again. And then he became a founding member of the Spirit of Mandela Coalition. As I mentioned earlier, that when I brought the issue of bringing the international jurists back to the United States, I brought it to the attention of Jihad Abdul Muhammad, a veteran member of Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army, and former political prisoner, right? And he brought it to the attention of Sekou, right? And so he, Sekou, that entire thing together. And about 2 years now, a brother, a comrade, a beloved Sekou Odinga transitioned. And so far as that goes in terms of Jericho, I am the only living founding member of the Jericho movement, right? And we are always aspiring to raise to the heights, to the level of commitment, of determination, as Baba Herman Ferguson, as Sophia Bukhari, as Baba Sekou Odinga. Let me type her name in here correctly. Yes. So that's I hope I gave you a broader understanding of these three individuals, the commitment,
Yes.
right? My relationship with them in regards to them inspiring me and strengthening my own determination. Remember, I came in the movement at the age of 16. Okay, I was 75 in October. Right, I did 49 years in prison. Went in at 19, didn't come out till I was 68. Right, and all the time continue to struggle, continue to fight. And I'm inspired by those comrades who was close to me, who also been in prison, came back out and got back right back into the struggle for our love for our people and for our understanding that if we do not fight back, all right, we don't win. We get nothing. Right? Because everything that we receive as a people in this country, we fought for it. Right? They didn't give us nothing. Okay, and so in understanding that, we have to move forward in terms of building what we said the People Senate, right, and organizing a broad national front for our liberation, right. Again, I wrote 2 books. One of them is called "We Are Our Own Liberators." I got to hold up here, right. We Are Our Own Liberators, right. And the other book that I have here is that I wrote called "Escaping the Prison, Fade to Black." Right, "Escaping the Prison, Fade to Black." These are my 2 books that I wrote while I was in prison. So, being in the penal slave system, we have to figure out ways how to continue to contribute to the struggle, right? And that was my way of continuing to contribute, to organize while I was in prison, to write, and to continue to figure out ways how to build a sustainable, durable movement going forward. I hope I answered that, sister, for you in
Yes.
background.
Yes, absolutely, Baba. Thank you so much. Because again, you know, it's important that we share not only the names of people, of our ancestors and freedom fighters, but also make certain that our people know the work that they did, the sacrifices that they made. You know, again, some of this information is not being matriculated or circulated to the degree that it should be. And so, you know, our job now is to make sure that we do the best that we can to make sure that, you know, these names and their work is known and also continued. So thank you again for that. I would be remiss if I did not mention Mama Ayalua. Yeah. I would be remiss if I did not mention her name.
That was Herman's partner. Right?
That's right.
If Herman had a left hand, she was the right. If Herman had the right hand, she was the left.
That's right.
When he went to exile, she went to exile with him. At the time that they spent, in Belize, and where he became Guyana, excuse me, where he became a colonel in the army of Guyana and got his training, and then came back to us in our struggle. Yes, Ayalua was a huge impact on all of us. Very, very, very much so.
Yes, and one other name I want to mention that is now an ancestor, and of course that is Baba Bilal Sunni Ali.
I mean, that's right. Another brother who, again, came out of the RNA. All right, supported the Black Panther Party, the BLA, right, was a musician. He hang
Mm-hmm.
out with Gil Scott Heron, creating music. He came under scrutiny from the FBI and the government for his work with the Republic of New Africa, and a strong contributor to our overall struggle. Baba Suni Ali.
Ashe. All right. All right, Brother Lumumba, any questions or for you? Do you have any questions for Baba, or do we have anyone on Facebook or YouTube that would like to ask a question before we go to the next segment?
All right, all right. Let me see. We got a couple people. Let me see. We got Sister Dottie that's in the yard. Let me bring her up to the front stage. See if there's any questions or comments that she might have before I get
Okay.
into it. All right, Sister Dot. All right. How's everything?
Great, I can't complain.
All right, excellent, excellent. Just wanted to open the floor up really quickly. Do you have a question or comment that you wanted to add into this conversation this evening?
Not yet.
Okay, all right, good. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this evening. All right, let me come to the uh, YouTube. Let me see if there's any questions or comments there. Okay, trying to get on stream right. Okay, all right, cool, cool. We got somebody getting ready to come in shortly. Let me check the other channel as well. But while I'm doing that, I wanted to ask uh, your involvement in the original Black Panther Party as a youth. Um, Now I know there were some influences there, you know, with your upbringing, with your parents, with the household. Um, could you tell us, you know, what are or what were, you know, kind of the main motivations, specifically, you know, for you and your involvement and wanting to enlist with the original Black Panther parties, and you know what type of motivations, as far as organizations are concerned currently, do youth have to, or things that you could and impart upon youth today to get engaged, to get ignited into, you know, getting into the movement, getting into movement work?
Good question. Good question. Matter of fact, I was just speaking to some young people today, youngsters. One was 11 years old, and the other one was, I think, the oldest was about 17. A group of young people who want to learn more about what's Black arts. What does that mean? So I had a conversation with them about that. It's important for us to understand that our life transition is not necessarily one that's always planned. Sometimes, you know, it's by happenstance. You know, there's a saying that circumstances make men, well as men make circumstances. In this instance, my situation was made by certain circumstances. And those circumstances was this: as a young kid in the streets, right? Because I was a street urchin. We used to have a doo-wop group, right? When I was 13, 14 years old, right? We used to have a doo-wop group, and we were pretty good, right, in San Francisco Bay Area. I mean, in fact, we came in second place in a citywide teen competition, right, in singing, and we came in second place. But due to other circumstances, our singing group, we were known as the Chants at the time. CHANTS was the name of our group. We're called the Chants, and our group disbanded, right, for various reasons. It disbanded, so we never got that record deal. You know, we never we was able to push it, and which was, you know, hey, um, as we say in Islam, man plans, God is the best planner. All right, so my plan, my destiny was going in a different direction. So some of those members who was a chant in our singing group had joined the Black Panther Party. Okay, and me basically because some of my best friends, right? Well, I followed suit. Uh, prior to going to the Black Panther Party, I consider myself a cultural nationalist. All right. Remember, I was living in my household where nationalism, Black nationalism was you know part of our thinking, our way of thinking. My mom had been a member of NAACP, right? When she was younger. And so uh, I had joined the House of Emoja, right, which was a group associated with the US organization, Ron Karenga, Black nationalist, Black cultural nationalist organization. At the age of 15, my mom bought me a conga drum. Right, it was my 15th birthday. She bought me a conga drum, and I learned how to play the congas. And we had a group of conga players in San Jose, California, where I went to high school. Right, San Jose, California. In fact, one of my tutors, my math tutors, was John Carlos. Some of you may remember John Carlos from the iconic picture of him and Tommy Smith in the 1968 Olympics with their raised fist in the air.
Yes. Yes.
John Carlos. John Carlos was one of my math tutors during the time when I was in high school. He was in college because that's what it was you know, in competition. From San Jose State University. Okay, so that's the kind of era that I evolved in. So when my brothers went into the Black Panther Party, right, and remember the riots that was going on in during that period of time, right? I said, well, heck, man, if this is what you guys are doing, I'm in. So one day we was out there. I was helping them out with the papers, right? Getting the papers out of the truck, getting prepared for distribution in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I walked into the office and said, I'm signing up. That's what I did. Sign up, start going to PE classes, and start taking instructions. And because if you join the Black Panther Party, you don't have to study. You don't have to read. You don't have to, because you ain't going to the Black Panther Party, they're going to give you a gun. They're going to give you a book first, okay? Before you do anything else. They're going to give you a book and tell you to sit your behind down and study, right? And get this discipline and learn these points of right? And et cetera. I get disciplined. And so that's what I did. And to a point in time where I was recruited into the underground at the age of 18, the Black Liberation Army. So I hope that gives you some understanding of how that happened. Now, for the young people today, keep this in mind also, the Black Panther Party was a youth movement, right? There was no one over the age of 30 years old in the movement, right? These were teens and in their 20s. Some were getting their first job, right? These are teens in their 20s, but they were dedicated. They were determined. They had pure love for the people. They just want to put their life and their liberty on the line. We don't find that out there with these kids anymore. They destroyed the party, and in destroying the party, what they did, they filled our community with drugs, chemical warfare. And who brought the drugs into our community? The CIA. How we know? Because they made movies about it. Highway Rick and all the rest of that stuff. They made movies about it. How they the Iran-Contra gate, right? Trading drugs for guns and weapons for Iran-Contra gate. And where they put those weapons and drugs? In our community. We lost 2 generations across the board for the crack epidemic. 2 generations gone out of the crack epidemic. There's biological, chemical warfare on our people. So we lost 2 generations to the crack, right? And then we lost generations. We lost relationships with one another as a result of the COVID, splitting us up, putting us in silos. All right, and now we are under severe attack in terms of our community. And so, we have to figure out ways how to go back into and deal with these young people. Right? Like I said today, I was talking to some young people, trying to find my way back into the schools. We need to find our elders and our mid-elders, right, who have some experience. Get in those schools. Get in those schools, man. Right? Find a way to talk to these young people in these schools. Tell these young boys in the streets they're being set up for slavery. Let them know there ain't no honor, ain't no badge, ain't no stripes to go into the penitentiary. That's false. That's delusional, right? That was created by the corporations in the music industry, right? When they put out gangster rap and all that kind of nonsense, right? Honoring self-hatred, basically. Okay, and profiting off our self-hatred. Okay, So we have some goals we have to do. We have to change our mindset and change our thinking in terms of what we are confronting. And we have to get into those young people on the corner, right? Let them know the boys on the block. Say, listen, man, you can set up to go to slavery, to be a slave. You want to be a slave? Well, let me tell you something. The prison system is a slave system, right? It's not what Jalil says. It's what the law says. The law says the prison is a penal system. It's a slave system, right? Go read the law. Okay, that's what you set it up for. And they're gonna make profit. They're gonna make money off your stealing behind up in them prison systems, right? Doing the trauma that you do to our people, to our community. All right. So so that's the advice I give. We, those who know, right, need to get into those spaces where our young people are at. Right. We need to reestablish our breakfast programs. Right. Remember, the Black Panther Party established all of that. Right, there wasn't no breakfast programs in schools, right? There wasn't no health clinics in our community, right? There wasn't no transportation to go see your family member inside the prison system, right? The Black Panther Party started all of that, okay? And then the corporation, the corporate, what we call government, right, took it from us, and they tried to destroy the party. Remember when the party was under scrutiny from the FBI and COINTELPRO, when they said that the party is the greatest domestic threat to the United States. They wasn't talking about us using weapons. They're talking about us feeding our babies, and educating our children, and raising their minds. That's what made us a threat, right? Because we were no longer going along to get along. Okay, we were resisting, and we're teaching our children how to resist. Right, we're giving our children their identity of who they are as a people. Right, that's a threat to them. Right, so anytime Black people become conscious. Anytime Black people become motivated, right, this government of white supremacy becomes anxious, right? Because they know they have a history and legacy of savagery and barbarity. And they don't want their children to know that, right? Although they teach their children from generation to generation, they hate Black people, right? The inferiority and superiority. So that's what we're confronting. All right, and we got to get our young people to understand that history and that dynamic as we move forward. For me, it's a question of me passing the baton. Like I said, in a couple of months, I'm going to be 75 years old. All right, and I need to have the young people come behind me to receive the baton as I pass it. This is not a race, it's a marathon. Okay, but it's a marathon I can relay from generation to generation. Okay, so the next generation got to be prepared to pick this baton in stride. Don't slow me down. Don't slow me down in stride. Right, take the baton and keep it pushing. Move on. All right. So that's what we have to do to our young people. We got to give them that understanding how they've been, as Al-Haj should have asked, bamboozled. They've been tricked. They've been hoodwinked. We all have. Okay, and that is my answer to that particular question, right? We got to get to where they are, right? You got to speak through their language. And remember, the Black Panther Party was, in fact, a youth movement. Okay.
I say. Give thanks. Thank you for that addition, Baba Jalil. Let me see if we have any other questions. We got Sister J. Renee. Welcome to the yard here on a new day on this special edition of Black Poli Sci 101 with Baba Jalil Muntaqim. Did you have a question or comment? Okay, you are muted currently.
All right, sorry about that. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Thanks for joining us this evening. Did you have a question or comment?
Can you hear me, Brother Lumumba?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right, I'm in the building. I'm in the place to be. If you don't know now, stick around and you will see.
I
always respect the space. I can never give you enough props, kudos to express how important this platform is, brother. But you don't even know. I've been waiting on you. Y'all been waiting on me, right? That's why this is important. I see that we have, somebody I highly respect, Baba Jalil. I appreciate being able to listen to what you say, and everything that you say has importance in the words, right? I have a lot to say, but Brother Lumumba, I done took my medication. So, what I mean, collect me if I need to be. But
Yes,
I
yes,
lead with that because this is a real thing. This is real life. This is not a game. This is not a toy. This is not engagement or content, right?
that's right.
And I believe that when you're in something real, you tell the people the real about you. Now, Empress Chi, she close to my heart. You too, brother the Moonbug, but she a little closer. You understand? So she understands
Like,
everything that's coming with me. So I say that to say, when you tap in with your people, tell them what's going on with you. If on Saturday you not worth a damn, tell your people that so they don't call you on Saturday. So they don't call you on the Saturday and you don't show up. All this time matters. Everything we do matters. This right now is a part of history that people will reflect on, right? It's Black August. I got a couple of things to present. Please put up with me and give me the space. So Black August, it showcases not only our achievements, our fight against resistance, but also our brothers and sisters behind the wall, right?
Mm.
And oftentimes you'll hear political prisoners. But sometimes people forget about the politicized prisoners. It's a
mhm.
little different, but the same. So I want to present some things just to give some clarity on what that is. And anybody that knows me, I believe in finding real words, the definitions, and in providing clarity, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how we get better. So most people are familiar with political prisoners, right? So let's get into the differences. So a political prisoner is a person who is in prison because of what they believe, what they speak, or what they represent, not because of any general or genuine harm that they cause. We must remember we have the jail system, we have the police. We can't forget how that started because it matters on what's going on now. That didn't start because somebody said, hey, we need to police people. It started because they said we need to police these black folks that we just let free. You know what they said. I don't have to use the word. But they said we need some rules to still rule over them. Political prisoner is a person who is in prison because of what they believe, what they speak, or what they represent. Their confinement is a tool of the state used to silence them, to suppress movements and make an example out of someone whose ideas threaten the existing power structure. We've been here long enough to know that they hate when we talk against them. They hate when we saying something. I have got so much hate emails and messages promoting Black August. Messages like, we gave you February. Y'all just had a day off in June. What do you want now? The entitlement that is built in some of these people, that they feel like we're giving you something. What do you N words need now? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm putting down, right?
Yes,
They
yes, yes.
need us. We are the ones that push the narrative of our political prisoners because there's a lot of people that, if once you're in prison, they forget about you. You belong there. You wasn't sent there for nothing. It's easier to live through life thinking that you don't have to worry about that. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Luckily I was in a dynamic that even though somebody was in prison, we still love them. One of my favorite uncles, he's gone now. I knew him before I ever met him because my family kept him alive. They told the good things that he did, but they didn't hide the bad. That should make us more aware of what we're doing. We're not perfect. We might do some bad stuff, but don't be so bad that can't nobody stand behind you and understand it. That's another cipher for another day. Let's move on. Politicized prisoners. A politicized prisoner is someone who may have entered the system for any number of reasons, right? But once inside, they become conscious, critical, and active. They have awakened, they've studied, they've organized, and they've transformed themselves into thinkers, teachers, and leaders. We can't forget about them. And we have the only reason why we have to make a distinction is because the distinction matters because it's different things. If you say everybody, all of these people are political prisoners, that might not be true. As Black folks, we have to show up true and exact to move the masses. So we have to always remember that. Okay.
Shay.
All,
So let's do this, Sister J, because the points that you just raised are very important, and I actually wanted. I'm glad you helped to define or give some clarity. I want to go back over to Baba Jalil and ask what his thoughts are as it pertains to political prisoners and what you just said in terms of interacting with politicized prisoners. And then, in one sidebar, I want to say is that from the teachings that I've had over the years, what has always been, shall I say, fundamental is we are all prisoners of war.
All right. Sister, thank you, sis, for that question, and also sister who just spoke. Thank you for giving your understanding, explanation as to the differences between the incarcerated workers who have been politicized, political prisoners, and prisoners of war. As you well know, in 1998, myself, Sister Bukhari Asafia, and Herman Ferguson, we established the National Jericho Movement. It's the only organization, the national organization, most prominent organization in support of political prisoners in the United States. Been in existence almost 30, going on 30 years, since 1998. And so in that organization, we have made a definition of political prisoners. The political prisoners are those individuals who are engaged in struggle, right? Organizing in our community, building our base in our community, and then come under scrutiny of the state and are arrested and captured for their work, doing the work in the community. Those are our political prisoners. Our politicized prisoners are like George Jackson, right? Our politicized prisoners are like our dear beloved brother Kwame Shakur, right, who established the PLM. In many instances, he reminds me of myself, right? The work that he does while he continues inside the prison system. These are politicized prisoners, right? Remember, Comrade George went into prison for a $10 gas station robbery. Okay. Kwame Shakur was a member of JD's, right, Gangster Disciples, when he's out of prison, right? Now he's a noted national representative of the prison movement across this country. Those are politicized prisoners. And what happens is when you become politicized inside the prison system, your relationship to the state changes. Okay. Where before you was a criminal or social prisoner, right? Incarcerated worker inside the prison system, they treated you as that. But once you become politicized, then you come under different scrutiny. Why? Because you become a leader, you become a teacher, you become an organizer inside the prison system, and therefore they're going to treat you accordingly, right? So we have our politicized prisoners, and we have our political prisoners, and then we have our prisoners of war, right? And those are the ones who had actually engaged in combat, right? In defensive combat or offensively in defense of our struggle, challenging the system and those who represent the system. Those are our POWs, right? And I like to call them political prisoners of war. But also keep this in mind as well. There's a maxim from Mao Zedong, and he said that politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. So if we understand that, we know that we have been in war for over 400 years. 400 years in regards to the politics, right? Because we've always been in opposition to the conditions that kept us oppressed and repressed. So that in itself speaks volumes as to who we are in the course of our relationship to the state. So I put it into the chat the information, the link to the National Jericho Movement. People should go to the National Jericho Movement, learn about our political prisoners, learn about Mumia Abu Jamal, right? Why he's in prison, innocent. Learn about Zulu Whitmore, right? A veteran member of the Black Panther Party, still in prison. Learn about Kamal Siddiqui, right? Kamal Siddiqui, who is the father of Asada Shakur's daughter, Kukuya. All right. If you love Asada, fight for the release of Kamal. If you believe in what Asada was stood for, then fight for the release of Kamal. Learn about his Kamal Siddiqui a freedom campaign and get involved. Go to Jericho Movement, right, and learn about our political prisoners and get involved, man. Support us. Why are you supporting the political prisoners? Because they represent the best of us. They represent the ones who want to put their life and their liberty on the line for us. But also keep this in mind, you may be next. All right? So if supporting political prisoners, it's supporting yourself. Right? It's supporting our movement. So yes, we should have this, and that's the reason why the Jericho movement has come under scrutiny by the federal government. Right? First one on the line, on the list of the National Jericho Movement. Why? Because we support our political prisoners. We support those who resist. So yes, we'll come under scrutiny. That's expected. Okay, and we ain't shying away from it. All right. That only proves to me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. A dear beloved comrade, Marilyn Buck, once stated, they have me listed as a terrorist. Right? And we know she said, I must be doing something right. Okay. All right. So if they ain't got you listed, then maybe you ain't doing what needs to be done. Okay. If you're not coming under scrutiny, maybe you're not doing what you're doing, or you're very good at hiding what you do clandestinely. Okay. So for us, it's important that we support our political prisoners. We fight for the release of Mumia Abu Jamal. We fight for the release of our brother Zulu. We fight for the release of our brother Kwame. We fight for the release of our brother Kamal, right? And the many others that we have inside. The expanding of this the existing political prison, it will grow, right? Because we come under the repression of fascism in this country. So we're going to have a lot more political prisoners in the system that need to be recognized and need to be supported. So in that instance, it's extremely important that the Jericho movement grows and it expands, and that we have cadres across this country building the basis of support for our political prisoners across this country. So I hope that gives you some better understanding or a more definitive understanding of who are our political prisoners and why they need to be supported. And also there's an organization for which you can go and tap in, right, to link in and get involved and support our comrades on the inside of the penal slave system.
Ashe, all right. All right. That for me was, very on point. Sister J, you still there? Okay, I'm not hearing her. Okay, there you go. All right, so family, listen, again, we have maybe about another 20 minutes, and then we're going to get ready to close out this session. Again, I appreciate Sister J's comments and thoughts, and I do think that Baba Jalil did kind of respond or answer some of what she was conveying, and it certainly all was food for thought, needless to say. Is there any other questions or comments, Brother Lumumba? Okay. I'm not hearing it. Okay, so I have a question, Baba Jalil, and again, we're not going to go in depth with the answer at this time, but I want to just at least kind of present it because there are brothers and sisters who are very much willing and even in some instances ready to step up. So what would your thoughts be? And again, without going too in depth, but just enough to kind of respond to the question. How would you suggest, or what would your thoughts be as it pertains to a formation that was being raised up in this day and age, similar to the Black Liberation Army?
Mm. Mm.
And again, I know we can't go in depth.
Right,
I know we can't go in depth, but again, this is some things that we just want to at least begin to have people to think about.
Yeah. Education and training. And let me put it there. Education and training. Okay. The cadre that I was raised in terms of the Black Underground, what we did, we used to sit in my living room and we used to study books together, right? Our cadre, we studied together. Okay. We studied Franz Fanon. We studied Regis Dubray. We studied Carlos Mahiela. We studied Che Guevara. We studied Fidel Castro. We studied Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah. We studied Cabral. We studied, right? To the point whereas we couldn't figure anything else more. Now we need to put theory into practice. Okay? But what it did was that we were able to create a cadre on the same page, spiritually, psychologically, right? We understood our relationship with one another. We understood how we thought, how we think in unity, okay? And that's what's important for these cadres, building these cadres across the country. They have to study together, okay? And get full, right? When I say just don't stay on the periphery, get full, go deep, go in depth, right? We studied the Red Book. We studied, when I say Carlos Mahiela, and the Tupamaros, right? We understood that there's different kinds of structures within the underground, right? You have the linear structure, you have the wheel structure, you have decentralization of cadres. Okay, so we have to study. All right, that's one. Two, have to train. You have to train. They used to take me out. With a place called Hunter Leggett, which was a old Marine base, or I think Marine base in California, Hunter Leggett, right? And they should go out there and do training, right? Learn how to use weapons. We call it TE, technical education, technical training, okay? And I learned how to break it down, right? And put the pieces back together within time. We need to train, okay? We got to understand what that weapons are tools for liberation. Okay, that's all it is. The politics is the method from which we move forward in terms of our liberation. The weapon is only a tool in that process. So you have to understand that. Okay, so the first thing is hone your cadres together in terms of education. Make sure that everybody's on the same page, right? As much as you possibly can, get what we call group think. Group think. Okay. So if I'm thinking one, my comrade thinking two, we're moving forward. All right. Okay. Second of all is training, physical training, psychological training, right, as well as combat training. It's very important. Okay. So those are my two specific recommendations. Okay, moving forward, right. And the first one I put on top of everything else. Second of all is physical exercise. I'm 75. I can't jump fence like I used to. Okay, I can't run like I used to. Okay. So I got to figure some other ways how to be engaged on that level, right, for my own survival, right. So training is important. Physical training is important, and then naturally technical training, like TE. Okay, I was taught how to use various types of weapons. I was taught how to use various types of chemicals for other things, for other reasons, all right, and purposes. Okay. These are the 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 discipline, right, that one
Yes.
must have in
Yes.
order to engage and survive.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, family. Well, for those who have been pondering or thinking in this manner, here are, some of the suggestions and ideas and concepts that you can begin to examine further and develop further. And,
There's a let me add one more point, sis.
okay.
There's a book out there in the cyberspace, right? And I'm gonna show you what right here, if you read that, right? Called Revolutionary Armed Struggle, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's written by Anonymous. Okay, I'm not gonna say who wrote it.
Oh, give us that name again, please, Bob, of the book.
This book right here,
What is it called?
Revolutionary Armed Struggle
Revolutionary Armed Struggle. Got it.
by Anonymous.
I say.
Okay. It was really put together by. It was really published by Armed Spirit and Abraham Press, Gilliam Press. Okay, and as you can see there, right? All right, and in it you will find. Let me just give you a synopsis of the book itself, in case somebody wants to check it out. Right. The first chapter is Revolutionary Armed Struggle, and it explains what Revolutionary Armed Struggle is. The second chapter talks about the questions of terrorism. What is terrorism? Or what is a terrorist and not a terrorist? Right. It talks about building a guerrilla front. What is the guerrilla front? What it look like? The infrastructure of the guerrilla front. Right. Orientation, indoctrination, training, placement. How you place people. Planning. How you plan engagement. Operations. How you engage. Special operations and special ops personnel. Right. Explains all of that. Right. Logistics and intelligence and communications. What areas are you going to work with in terms of the underground? Some of you are just going to do intelligence and communications, right? Set up the database and set up the information, do the research, logistics and supplies. We got to have an infrastructure. We keep in mind that our movement is based on three levels. Right? There's the above ground, the mass level, there's the infrastructure, right? Which is in between, and then you have the underground. If you ain't got a mass movement organizing, right, there's no way that you can be able to have the infrastructure, organize the infrastructure, because you have no place to receive the resources and the individuals who's going to fill in those gaps in terms of that infrastructure. Right? And if you don't have the infrastructure, then you're never able to decipher from the masses through the infrastructure those people who's going to be engaged into the underground, who's going to be the guerrillas, will be the clandestine forces, right? And so it's important to have those three stages. When you destroy the above ground, it weakens the infrastructure because there's no foundation for the infrastructure, and therefore the underground is open arms, it's open game for them to be destroyed. Right? Logistics and supplies is important. Operations, special operations, and then it goes into various areas of guerrilla warfare, right? Urban guerrilla warfare, and then it talks about overview, and then more importantly, at the end of this, it talks about engaging in various other tactical issues, but at the end, it talks about what we call tactical errors, right? Where people had made mistakes over the past and learning from those lessons from tactical errors. I don't know if you can see that, but lessons from tactical errors, right, is extremely important, right? Because we need to learn these lessons so that you don't get involved in this kind of activities again. All right. So I would encourage those who would want to go in that area of responsibilities, right? Get that book, get that pamphlet, study it, right? Get Carlos Margiela and the Triple Walls, read those books. Get Regis Debray, Revolution in the Revolution, study that book. And study Che Guevara, right? Study Ho Chi Minh, study the struggle that went off in Algiers, right? Study what happened with the in Vietnam, okay? We have to be able to have a clarity in terms of our understanding of our engagement, because we are up against the greatest military force on the planet. right? Let me make this point especially clear. We're not going to defeat them militarily. We're not. Don't even think that. Okay? We may hopefully, right, bring them to the negotiating table. Okay? That would be our best bet. To struggle to the capacity where we bring them to the negotiating table. We're not going to defeat them militarily. All right? And so what is imperative also for us to understand is that the people that we're up against, they are in control, right? The Confederates, they're in control. The MAGA Confederates, that's what I call them. The MAGA Confederates, they're in control. They now have the FBI, they have the NSA, they have the CIA, they have all branches of military and the National Guard and police forces across the country. All right? They're in control. Okay. So for us, it is extremely important for us to train, right? You got to train, and you got to study, and you got to prepare. Okay. We will defeat them with a mass and popular movement. Mass and popular movement. That's what we have to organize. That's why building people centers is important. We have to build a mass and popular movement. If you go to my book, We're Own Liberators, there's a chapter in there, right? Talking about the mass and popular movement. Okay. Revolutionary organizing, national organizations, right? Building the mass and popular movement. Okay. That's how we're going to defeat them. When we lock this country down, we say, look, this is an empire. The U.S. corporate entity is an empire, right? And history informs us that empires are not dismantled by external forces. Never have. All right? They may be weakened by external forces. All right? But empires are dismantled when the people inside the empire says, no more. Done. We're done. Okay. Then the empire collapsed. Okay. So we got to get to that point. All right, where we have enough people, and I'm talking about millions of people, right? I know people say, no, we ain't with it no more. We're done. Okay, all right, and lock it down. And when they can't make any money anymore, when they no longer profiting off our labor, no more stealing our resources, yeah, we win. We win, and that's the goal. That's the objective. How we get there? Okay, that's the struggle. That's the struggle. The struggle is the resolution of contradictions. All right, make that a principle and understand it. The struggle is the resolutions of contradictions. And that's what we engage in. We're trying to resolve the contradiction that we have confronting in the social order that's been created as a result of the 1492 Papal Bull of Doctrine of Discovery. That started all this madness.
Say that one more time.
Excuse me, sis?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes. In our contemporary time, and I'm talking about the last 500 years, or the world that we have today, it was initiated by Pope Alexander VI and Pope Nicholas VI. 1492, 1493. What they put forth was the doctrine of discovery. What they told the Portuguese and they told the Spanish to go around the world and conquer. Go around the world and conquer. They gave them the edict, right, which was the Papal Bull. Go around the world and conquer. And make sure that those that you find in other parts of the country, parts of the world, either adhere to our doctrine, right, or the Catholic doctrine, right, or they will be annihilated or enslaved, right? That's the reason why you don't have the Incas anymore. That's the reason why you don't have the Aztecs anymore. That's why we don't have the Tianos. That's why we don't have the Arawak, right? That's the reason why the Cherokee, the Sioux, the Creek, the Seminoles, you name them, right? The indigenous have been decimated, right? Sovereign nations decimated as a result of this doctrine of discovery and our enslavement. The states in it enslaved the Africans. The doctrine of discovery. Okay. So if you don't understand that history, then you really won't understand the contradictions that we have to resolve in our movement in order to build unity and struggle. Okay. So let me make one more point. This is a genocide. Why we charge the United States with genocide, and they've been found guilty of the charge of genocide against Black, brown, indigenous people. But keep in mind, that's not the first time that the charge of genocide was raised. December 17, 1951, the great W.D. Du Bois, the great Paul Robeson, the great William Patterson brought the first petition to the United Nations charging the United States with genocide against Black, brown, indigenous people. All right. They refused to allow Paul Robeson to leave the country to go to Geneva to fight the case. And they tried to prevent William Patterson from returning back to the United States to fight the case. All right. But also keep in mind, El-Haj Malik Shabazz, I think in his speech, A Message to the Grassroots, he talked about our genocides. Right. Martin Luther King, in his speech, The Other America, he talked about our genocides. So what we were able to do, we were able to achieve what Paul Robeson, W.D. Du Bois, William Patterson was not able to do 70 years ago. We got a verdict from the esteemed body of international jurors. But let's understand something about the nature of genocide. Genocide, if no one has not checked it out, again, I go to my book, page 49. Right, I want to explain very briefly as I possibly can, as succinctly as possibly can. In 1948 Convention of Genocide states, all right, in the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with the intent to destroy in whole or in part, the national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, such as killing members of the group. We know they kill us every day. Some we hear about, majority we do not. Okay, Black, brown, indigenous people in this country, causing serious bodily and mental harm to members of the group. We are a traumatized nation, right? How are you gonna have a people who live under a system of white supremacy for 400 years and not be traumatized? Of course we are. We're not conscious of our trauma, but we are traumatized people. Okay. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. That means they don't have to just wipe you out. Okay. They can decimate your capacity to grow and produce, to evolve. That's genocidal. Okay. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. Right. Sterilizing our people. Mass incarceration. We got millions of people inside the prisons, they can't reproduce. I was lucky. At age 19, right? My woman, my baby's mother was pregnant. So I was able to have a child. Okay. She was in the womb when I went in. When I came out, she was a 50-year-old grandma. Okay. But I had the opportunity. But there's millions of brothers and sisters inside the prison system who have not had no child, no children. They're going to be in prison 10, 15, 20, 30 years. That's genocide. They can't reproduce. Okay, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. That's what they did with the indigenous, right? Took them from their tribe, gave them to the missionaries, right? They cut off their hair, cut off their culture, right? Took away their language. That's genocide, right? And Article 3 states that genocide is punishable. Genocide is punishable, okay? Conspiracy to commit genocide is punishable. Direct and public incitement to commit genocide is punishable. Attempt to commit genocide is punishable, and complicity to commit genocide is punishable. Now, go to 18 USC 1091. That's the federal law. That is a treaty signature to the 1948 Convention Against Genocide. Okay? The same language that I just read to you is in the language of 18 USC 1091. Now, do you think the United States is going to charge itself with genocide? Complicity? Especially when they're going on in Gaza? That's complicity if nothing else. Right? At minimum, it's complicity. Okay. You think they don't charge themselves with genocide? No, they're not. Okay. And so it's important for us to understand that what we are suffering, what we are confronting, what our challenges are, right? They are engaged in the process of genocide And we have to be prepared. That's why we said we have to remove ourselves from harm, right? We got to remove ourselves from this trauma, right? And that's why we said we got to create alternative systems of governing. We got to create new networks of organizing, okay? That's why the people center, again, people center is important. Because we don't build these networks, if we don't have this national convergence amongst our forces across this country, we're doomed. Yeah, just like that. Okay. So it's important that we get on board, right? Get involved with a movement, get involved with a struggle, get involved with an organization, right? If you don't have one, build one. Okay. If no more than just feeding the people in the community, right? If that's all you can do, do that. Okay. Hey, and when we look at dialectics, the principle of dialectics, I look at it as like water in a bucket, water dripping in a bucket, right? We don't know what drip is going to make that bucket overflow. Okay. So it might be your contribution, it might be my contribution, it might be her contribution. Don't make that one drip for that bucket of water to overflow from quantitative to qualitative. Okay. So let's understand the principles and concepts of our revolutionary struggle, national liberation, and independence. Because what? We are our own liberators. I mean,
What's the name of your book again? Brother Moomba, can you ask him what's the name of his book again?
The name of the book is "We Are Our Own Liberators."
Just go to WAOOL JalilMuntaqim.com. Go with shop. Go to Freedom Ain't Free shop. Freedom Ain't Free shop, and you can get the book.
Hey, one more time. I'm sorry. WAOOL.
Right. That means we are our own liberators. WAOOL. JalilMuntaqim.com. Right. That's my website. And then you go where it says Freedom Ain't Free shop. Tab under there, then you find my books, you find my little merch and stuff like that. The money that I raise for these, it helps me to support our political prisoners. Right?
Okay.
Help me support our political prisoners.
Thanks for that little tidbit. To the understanding that it goes towards helping you with political prisoners, because so often everyone wants someone to support them, but they're not doing what they should be doing or say what they say that what they're all about. So thank you for saying that.
I mean.
All right. Give thanks.
All right, comrades. I got to break out. All right.
All right. Can you leave us a final thought, closing remark?
I didn't hear you. What did you say, comrade?
If you could leave us with a final thought, closing remark.
Final thought and closing remark. Final word. Black August is not just a month. All right. Black August is a legacy.
Okay. All right. We'll do. All right. I just got a call from the Barons. They want you to know, Baba Jalil, that they're tuning in and they're looking forward to having you on their program, I think, this week as well.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate that. Yeah, Charles is my comrade. He's my brother of heart, brother of another mother. That's what we're talking about. Right? But again, Black August is not a month, right? It's a legacy. Mm-hmm. And so I want all of us to live the legacy, right? To fulfill the mandate, right? And what is the mandate? Study, exercise, fast, and fight. Okay.
All right. Wonderful. All right, family, listen, we're going to get ready to close this session out. We have one more session with Baba Jalil on August the 10th, and we will continue and go even a little deeper. So buckle up, because it's going to be not only interesting, but very, very, very inspirational and stuff that we need to know. Back to you, Brother Lumumba.
All right, all right. Give thanks, give thanks. Much appreciated to Baba Jalil for expressing and sharing a lot of that information, knowledge, education, edification, and wisdom to help us gain greater understanding and clarity on what Black August is and what our responsibilities are as far as the freedom, justice, and liberation movements. All right, give thanks once again, Baba. We definitely appreciate you and all that you were able to bring.
All power to the people.
I say.
Free the land.
Free the land. Give thanks. Free them all.
And free them all.
I say.
Assalamu
Thanks. All right, with that being said, family, let me come to Sister Empress for final closing remarks.
Okay, well, we just want to remind everyone that we will be in New York on August the 23rd. It will be what we call Message from the Grassroots. A lot of times what we've learned over the years is that we are not seeing the masses of our people having the kind of connection to various movements, campaigns, and projects. And so MWM is really now positioned and being positioned further to make certain that in our communities, that our people, our families are able to get access to information and the capability to be involved in a more productive and holistic manner. So when we now talk about reparations and human rights violations and things of that nature, our position is now the campaign that we'll be launching beginning on August 23rd, which is in fact the International Day of Remembrance for the slave trade and its abolition. We'll be in New York. We'll tell you the location this Sunday. We hope folks will join us at the kickoff, which will happen at the burial grounds first. It'll be a press conference. And then that evening, it's going to be a village town hall meeting. And again, we will unveil some of our next steps as we get ready for our 30-year anniversary reunion next year. Again, our position is to make sure that our sisters, our mothers, our daughters are going to have information that they can give to the children, to their grandchildren, their nephews, nieces, because we realize now if we give our women a certain level of information in a certain type of manner, then that means the children will have a greater capability of getting it and also internalizing it. And so, again, you'll hear us talk more about that, as well as our Sister Saints campaign. Next year, we'll be introducing Million Women March 30 Sister Saints. And we just received today one of the educational materials that we'll be getting ready for next year. There will be coloring books and flashcards and other things for the children that will highlight our Sister Saints. And then there are also specific activities for each one of the Sister Saint that represents the work and commitment and contributions that they did. So this week we just, of course, did a whole week for Queen Mother Moore and our mission, an assignment, or one of the missions and assignment for Queen Mother Moore, Saint Queen Mother Moore, that is. She instructed in the interview that we played that she wanted to see an institution that paid tribute to the millions of African people who, of course, were unalive, tortured, etc., in terms of their human rights violations. She wanted an institution, something that people would be able to come to in order to keep the remembrance of them and to make sure that the continuation of the work, the struggle for freedom would be. So that is now one of our, what we call House More campaign. One is for Cali House, and the other is for Queen Mother Moore. Both of them are our Sister Saints. And again, we'll be unveiling some of that on August the 23rd, when the message from the grassroots will be issued to the 123 country members of the United Nations. We will say to them a note of thanks and appreciation for taking the incredible historical stand on March the 25th of this year, citing that the transatlantic slave trade is indeed the gravest crime against humanity. So a message from the people will be issued to them as a note of appreciation. So we invite anyone that's interested to join us for that, as well as to sign on to the note / letter of appreciation. And then for Human Rights Day in December, we're looking to have the letter published in several of the Black newspapers. I've just did an article, an article's coming up in the final call with Brother Michael Muhammad. Tomorrow morning, I'm on Carl Nelson's program to begin to let people know what we're doing for August the 23rd. So again, before we close out, Brother Lumumba will give you contact information. We hope that groups, organizations, individuals, businesses, etc., will sign on to the message from the grassroots, a special note of thanks and appreciation to the 123 countries. Ubuntu.
Ashe, Ashe. All right, family. And with that being said, information to follow up on any of the initiatives, also to get further follow-up information for any of our fundraising campaigns. We have currently the beacongoodsservices.com. You can go there and support by purchasing merch. That's one way you can support. You can also donate, because we are doing fundraising currently for that August the 23rd excursion. All right, we're looking to raise $2,400 in order to make sure we have the vehicle, gas, and all logistics needed for us to make that journey, make that trek. All right. So again, you can go to the beacongoodsservices.com in order to check out the merch and purchase there and support. Also, you can donate at Cash App at $HOT1111. That's $HOT1111. You can also donate at PayPal at nbhrproject@gmail.com. Again, that's nbhrproject@gmail.com. All right. For further information, to follow up initiatives, so on and so forth, you can email nationalmwm@aol.com. Again, that's nationalmwm@aol.com. You can also email powerman2282@gmail.com. That's powerman2282@gmail.com. You can also text 267-636-3802. The number again is 267-636-3802. All right, with that being said, we get ready to close out for this session for this evening, family. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you for your continued support. All right, I want to give thanks first and foremost to the Most High, Creator, Creators. I want to give thanks to the ancestors and the elders, those who have shed blood, sweat, and tears and paved the way to allow us to be here today. I want to give thanks to our special presenter, Baba Jalil Muntaqim, for being able to provide that wealth of information for us this evening on this Black Poli Sci 101. This is the Black August edition. This is the cost of freedom. Freedom ain't free. All right. I want to give thanks to you all. Thank you for your time, energy, and effort, dedication, determination, and discipline. Our follow-up is going to be on the 10th, August the 10th. All right. So that's going to be session 2. All right. Thank you for your time, energy, and effort, dedication, determination, and discipline. All right. I want to bid you all truth, justice, peace, love, freedom, power, prosperity, protection, patience, and divinely principled purpose. I want to say, let us continue to strategize, organize, and mobilize. And finally, I want to say Pamoja Tuta Shinda, which means together we will win. And indeed, family, we are our own liberators. All right, until next time. Of course, you can catch us on Saturday, New Day Resurrection and Liberation. All right, that's at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also on Sunday, that's 3 p.m. for our Ubuntu Justice Initiative coordinating and organizing meetings. All right, that is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, until next time, family, peace, power, and prosperity.